In the last few years, southern Madagascar has experienced a drastic lack of rainfall. The UN says the famine here is the first to be directly caused by climate change.
Normally at this age, children are already running. She can't even sit up.
But climate change is not the only reason for the crisis. What action should be taken now? And what if the rainfall season is late again? This is the Manambovo River, or what's left of it. For over 2 years now, residents of the small town of Siombe have had to dig into the riverbed to access water. One of them is 70-year-old Liferai.
We are really suffering. Now it's just dry, dry, dry. No rainfall at all.
Liferai and her family came to town because their village had run out of water. They used to rely on the rain for farming, but the rain stopped falling. Over the years, the family sold everything they had to buy food. Finally, they decided to come here. Now the children transport water for money. 5 people sleep outside, 5 inside this shack.
It's a tiny house, but it's all we can afford to rent. It's not ours. Ours is in the village, far from here. But we come here because we need access to water. We brought all the kids here, and they work here as water carriers now.
There are people transporting water all along the dusty roads. Many of them are children, like Zazina Clara Sia. The 13-year-old would prefer to be in school now, but her family needs water, and the river is more than 10 kilometers away.
It's difficult for me. Even carrying the water from the river to the truck is tiring. And then from here to the house. But if we don't have money, we don't eat and drink. We use some of the water for our family and sell some to neighbors to make some money.
After a 2-hour wait, the family with their 40 empty water containers finally get a lift to the river. The truck pulls away. Zazina watches her school disappear into the distance. Southern Madagascar has always been dry, but in the past years it has rained even less than usual. The UN has called it the world's first climate change-induced famine, a result of the West's carbon-fueled lifestyle.
The climate shocks, they are more and more often. Every year they become more severe. This is the situation. It's really a reality. Every year, this time, if rains they don't come, people they will not be able to cultivate the land. So it is worrying. It's a situation that will continue to be of concern.
In the past, aid organizations like the World Food Programme saw their main task as providing emergency relief. Now many are also trying to address the root of the problem: long-term access to water, so that people can grow their own food again.
We are testing the drop system for the garden. They are just waiting for rainfall to farm. So with the weather, the climate change, the rainfall is not arrived on time or is small. So the solution is these boreholes.
The government is planning a massive water pipe from a neighbouring region, which could be the solution to the crisis. But there is no timeline. Funding is not yet secured. In fact, several scientists argue that poor governance has been a major contributor to the crisis. The crisis has been out of sight for most politicians in the capital, Antananarivo, a 3-day journey on terrible roads. The island was first colonised by a group of Indonesians, later by the French. Since independence, there have been several coups d'etats. In Androy province, the state is barely present. No roads, no electricity, no water. Even the governor, Soya Lahimaru, admits it.
You cannot expect those problems to be resolved within 1 year or 2 years. For the last 8 decades, nothing has been done. And this is the first government, this is the first regime which is taking care of the whole problem.
But the regime has been in power for many years now, and the situation has actually only gotten worse.
And I don't think that's not true. The regime has been working for more than 3 years, and it's still on. How can you expect to resolve a problem which has not been solved for the more than 60 years before?
The governor insists that the population has to take part of the blame for the droughts.
This has been caused by the degradation of the environment, human-made activities, and that's where all of the roots of evil came from, and which triggered to many issues. Our ancestors cut down the forest, and without any thinking about the future. And that's led to the recurring drought, and that repetitive drought led to repetitive hunger.
Outside the regional capital, Manambovo, Masivo Atsarai knows what she is doing as part of the problem too, collecting cactus leaves to survive.
It's becoming barren, because most people do this for a living. Before, this was a forest. We could find all kinds of wood. I'm really afraid that in the future we won't find anything. Then there'll be nothing to sell to buy food, because the wood and the cactuses are disappearing.
Maisie says she has no choice. The 61-year-old burns the cactus needles and brings the leaves to town, where she sells them as animal feed to cattle owners. When the rain stopped falling, she was forced to stop farming and move here.
We left the village because of the drought. It's very difficult to find water there. There was no harvest, so we had to sell all our belongings.
It's an experience shared by almost everyone in her new home, an informal camp in the town of Manambovo. Trader Demi Henry Salala actually wanted to build a warehouse here, but when he saw more and more desperate people leaving their villages, he said they could stay here for free. This old man had 120 cattle. He was rich. But over the years, he was forced to sell everything. And if people have nothing to eat, then they just lie around like this. Salala tries to help here and there, buying medicine, collecting donations, appealing to NGOs. He believes climate change is mainly to blame for the situation, but that corrupt individuals in the government and NGOs are responsible for the continuation of the crisis. It will definitely be very difficult to stop this crisis if there's no honest work from the organizations. And it will also be difficult to take the right measures if the government doesn't see what's really happening on the ground. We need a hands-on approach for this situation to end. As she prepares the first and only meal of the day for her family, Maisie Voansarai also wonders why the crisis is happening. 2 cups of rice and some greens. That's all the family of 14 can afford for today.
I don't know why the rain doesn't fall. It may be because of us humans too. We don't love each other. Maybe that's why the rain has stopped falling. Or because some strangers did something to prevent the rain. I don't know.
A few streets away, Magnirisoa Ville is in charge of the malnutrition unit for children at the hospital in Manambovo. At the moment it is not busy, she says. Only 5 cases.
This baby is 17 months old. Her arm circumference is very small. It's in the red range, 98 millimeters. Normally it should be 130 for her age. She still can't stand. Normally at this age, children are already running. She can't even sit up. For me, the first solution to the crisis is to reduce the high birth rate. Here we can have mothers with 13 to 18 children, and polygamy is widespread. Some men have 3 or 4 wives and 10 children with each wife. These children will be exposed to malnutrition. They will also have to work, find food, sell things, sometimes even their bodies. So if I was the president, I would first concentrate on family planning.
The escalating drought crisis in Madagascar is the result of a combination of several factors: climate change, deforestation, poverty, mismanagement and population growth. A quick fix is not about to happen. The possibility of another season without rain and harvest is real. Another hunger crisis is looming. In the long run, massive investment is needed, especially in providing access to water so people can farm again. The planned water pipe could be a major part of the solution. Back at Manambovo River, 70-year-old Liferai has once again failed to make enough money to buy food for her family. So she ventures into the heat, without shoes, searching for cactus fruits.
Look at my hands. Look at all these needles. What else can I do apart from collecting these? I can't just stay at home and sleep. I come here to eat and to bring some home.
What is her hope for the future, for her grandchildren? She says she has no time to think about it. All she can focus on is finding food and water every day. The rain, she says, needs to fall.